Greetings and welcome to another episode of Catholicism and Coffee. I'm Stephen Gasinski.
I'm Beth Gasinski.
And we talk about Catholicism and enjoy some great brews. So today we're going to be talking about the Evangelists. Who are they? Why are they the big evangelists? Why do they get the headlines?
So you've probably heard of them. If you have not, their names are Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And they wrote the four Gospels, which are the first four books in the New Testament. So, oddly enough, Matthew's Gospel appears first chronologically, but historians say that Mark's Gospel was written first. So for some reason they decided to put him second and put Matthew first. Not quite sure why they did that, because I wasn't the one who made the decision.
Nope, we weren't even conceived, or our parents, or grandparents, or even our great-grandparents. But we could go back. Anyway, the reason we're doing the Evangelists now is because St. Matthew's feast day is September 21st, so we're pretty close to that, so we thought we'd talk about it. So we have Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John as far as the Gospels go.
So now, who were each of them?
Well, Matthew is usually believed to be Matthew the Apostle, the tax collector. John is also believed to either be John the Evangelist and John the Apostle, the beloved disciple. Some believe they're the same person, or they could be another person who came about later. Mark was one of the disciples who came about also later, possibly around Paul and Barnabas, one of their contemporaries. Luke was also came about later, also was associate of Paul. He's the physician. There's some interesting theories about St. Luke. We'll do a video on St. Luke at some point, and we can delve into some of that stuff a little bit later on.
So, there's four Gospels. They all tell about the life of Jesus Christ. But are all of them the same? No, they are not.
Matthew, Mark, and Luke are called the Synoptic Gospels. Now, if you're thinking, oh, that sounds like synonym, well, you're on the right track. They are very similar. They follow a narrative format. Whereas John, there is some narration, but he's different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, they have a lot of similarities. One of them is all three of them include the Sermon on the Mount, but Mark's version is a little shorter, and of those two, Matthew and Luke both include the Beatitudes. There's 8 of them in Matthew's Gospel, but only 4 in Luke's. Don't know why Luke decided to leave out the other 4. Maybe he just wasn't aware that they existed. Who knows?
Yeah. Matthew and Luke's Gospel include Jesus' birth and the Beatitudes. John is the only Gospel to feature the wedding feast at Cana.
Yeah, and I found this particularly interesting because that is such a big deal. It is Jesus' first public miracle, yet 3 of the evangelists did not think to include that, so who knows?
Yeah. Now, what do all 4 Gospels include? They include the feeding of the 5,000, John the Baptist, the entry into Jerusalem, and the Passion.
Yeah, and this is a little interesting that these 4 events are things that are included across all of them, and then there's others that aren't. Because the birth of Jesus, for one, is only included in 2 of them. But the death is included in 4, and that makes a lot of sense, I think.
Yeah.
But then John the Baptist is included in all 4 of them, and he's pretty significant, so that makes sense. But the feeding of the 5,000...
It could be about the weight of that miracle, because the numbers are a lot higher. Whereas, you have healings and such, it's usually 1, 2, 3, or 4 people, not 5,000 men, and that's not including the women and the children. So it's probably close to 10,000.
Yeah,
maybe
not more.
At the very least, possibly 10,000, maybe more, maybe up to 15.
And another thing is, in the feeding of the 5,000, we have the breaking of the bread, which Jesus broke bread at another time that's pretty significant, known as the Last Supper. So possibly that parallel prompted all 4 of our evangelists to say, we need to include this.
Yeah. And they were written at very different times.
Oh, yeah.
Some believe John didn't write his gospel until 90 AD, so 90 years after the birth of Christ. So that's kind of interesting. Raises some eyebrows. So why don't we just leave it up to our viewers? What is your favorite gospel? What is this particular gospel passage that really spoke to you? What are some of the differences between the four evangelists that really interest you? What are some particular things that you notice between all four, or between the synoptic gospels, and wonder why it's not included in John? What are some stuff in there that you want to ask questions about? Well, we hope you've enjoyed this episode. We'll be continuing to make these along the way. We hope you've enjoyed our episodes so far and continue to enjoy them. In the meantime, be bold, be brave, be courageous, and God bless, and enjoy coffee.
And if you really like this, leave us a review. You can find us on YouTube and on Facebook.
Yeah. Like, comment, subscribe, all those good stuff. All right. God bless.